Hey guys, welcome back to A2D, Agree to Disagree. So the Super Bowl champs made some noise today. They've been making some noise in free agency. They went out and grabbed another weapon in Allen Robinson. Gave this guy actually a couple years and gave him a pretty good contract. So it sounds like they're going to be committed to him. So let's talk about that a little bit. What happens with Robert Woods? What happens with maybe Van Jefferson a little bit? Is OBJ going to resign? So what do you guys think this means for the outlook of the Rams?
For the Rams, they're still in it, right? They went from maybe question marks. They just lost Von Miller to Buffalo, so there were some questions big time on the team, and then boom, right? That offense is humming again for sure. The reports are Robert Woods is going to be ready by training camp. There's also reports that just came out Robert Woods might be on the trade market. So we'll see what's up with that. We're going to have to follow that, but it's hard to see them letting him go, especially with the uncertainty with OBJ. So to have they always run 3 receiver sets. They need 3, and to me, if you got Allen Robinson out wide, Cooper Kupp, Bobby Trees, that's a pretty damn good trio. I know Van Jefferson is there too. They can even go 4 wide. Stafford is actually pretty good in the no huddle. So Stafford, man, his value went up in fantasy world. Rams in reality world, losing Vaughn, I think, is actually a pretty big deal. Buffalo obviously got a lot better, but losing Vaughn on that defense, they lost their defensive tackle already as well. So losing guys on that front, and that front is honestly what got them the Super Bowl. It's what beat the Bucks. Von Miller had a huge game in that game. And in the Super Bowl, I think he might have had a couple sacks, or at least a sack. He's up there near the top in the Super Bowl's history as far as sacks goes. Von Miller, dude, that's a big loss for their defense for sure. But offensively, I don't think they're going to miss a beat, man. Allen Robinson is that dude. I think he had a down year because Justin Fields obviously didn't mesh with him. But him with Stafford, a real guy, I think OBJ, the way we saw him finish the year, Allen Robinson that's how he's going to start the year and go all the way through. I think Allen Robinson is definitely going to be fantasy irrelevant again, like he was irrelevant last year. So I think Allen Robinson is going to be a guy that's draftable in the mid rounds for sure, mid to high rounds, dude. I think he's actually going to be pretty good in that offense. That offense scores a lot of points. So Allen Robinson, I think he's going to be a pretty good target for Matthew Stafford.
You seen what he did with Trubisky, with somebody a little, it's subpar over Justin Fields and Andy Dalton. He was big. Now you go to Matthew Stafford, huge. And to have him, Robert Woods, like you guys were talking about, the trade we've seen possible. I feel like when that news comes up, I feel like, especially with them signing out Robinson, it's probably going to be the route they're going to go. But with him, OBJ and Cooper Kupp, lethal, more lethal than they were in the Super Bowl offensively. Like you said, they lost some people on defense, but offensively, they're going to be, one of the best, if not the best trio of receivers in the league. I know Brian's looking at me funny right now. But dude, that's 3 guys together that could be, I know. Yeah. It's a good signing for sure. Definitely. But it puts him up there, I think, is the best trio,
right.
If you really look at it, trio wise, so.
Yeah. Bobby Trees is much better. So yeah, I agree with
for
that.
Sure.
But the whole OBJ thing, that's the big question mark though.
They get him for cheap, I think. I think they get him for cheap.
Yeah, I honestly think OBJ takes a year off. I think the injury happened a little too late to really be considering him as an option, not just for the Rams, but for any team. As far as that trio that you mentioned, I feel I'm always baffled by how the Rams make these moves, right? Like, I'm always like, where do these guys get their money? Like, they just feel like they're the only team. They're like the Yankees. They just, whatever they want, they go get. And, on paper, with the Allen Robinson move, it looks good. I'm not too concerned because of the consistency that the dude's lacked, but he is a year removed from 120 catches, 1,200 yards. That's with I believe Trubisky, or I don't know what it was in 2020. Trubisky. I think LA's the team. It's the franchise. It's the city that's probably going to get the best out of Allen Robinson. He's a cool, cool, quiet cat. You know what I mean? I feel like he'll just float right through that city. He'll perform well with Matt Stafford. It's pretty ideal, I think, fantasy wise. You're looking at you know, when you get to the round 5 to round like 8, like you better grab him because you
Flex
can get
all day.
you can
could
get
flex
you can get
wide receiver 3, flex, maybe wide receiver 2.
yeah, if
for
you're
me.
using him as a flex, you good.
Yeah.
But that's if it works, right? I think it's just injuries. I don't know what the whole phase out thing was about him. I don't know if that has anything to do with him. I mean, none of us know him personally. But I would feel what I was alluding to before. I kind of lost my train of thought. Was you would think at some point one of those guys would have to give. It ain't going to be Cooper. It ain't going to be Allen. And then you look at Van, and you would think that they'd want to kind of let him develop into that Robert Woods role. So I'm curious to see one, how his rehab goes, and if that's the case, you know, maybe a team like the Packers, maybe that's a part of their contingency plan. If they bring in Julio, trade for Robert Woods, now all of a sudden, you know, maybe that was part of, you know, talking with Aaron Rodgers, was like, hey, we can get 3-4 guys, maybe we got on the line, just got to let Devontae go. So back to the Rams move, maybe that's where Robert goes. I think he'd look good in that green and yellow.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. You know, I think we kind of all have the same thought here, because as soon as you bring up, I mean, because how many receivers can you have in one town? You know, so Robert Woods. Now the news broke today that they were talking about maybe he's a high trade value, and who needs a receiver more today than ever before is Green Bay. So yeah, I mean, that very well could happen. You know, as far as Allen Robinson, I mean, he also did it in 2015. I think it was with Blake Bortles, or who was the quarterback in 2015?
Yeah.
I mean, he's done it with guys that, you know, just haven't been there. And Justin Fields, I mean,
Have at least a year under their belt.
A rookie quarterback, and obviously he looked almost to run first. You know, he was almost like a poor man's, you know, Lamar Jackson. So it's just, I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit on it, only because like Cooper has a really high target share. So he's going there as obviously like a third down and a 50-50 ball, red zone. So the OBJ position, like what he did for that offense last year, is very well in play. I think OBJ is a little bit more talented than Allen Robinson is, but he does have, I mean, that guy has some talent. And he's had 2 years in his career to where he was top 10 in probably both targets and yards and catches. So
give him Matthew Stafford now.
Yeah.
Right. And
And
I think for sure. And that's why I think he actually, I think you brought up Cooper Kupp, like he's just going to, that season we just had, we ain't seen that again. Cooper Kupp's going to come down a little bit. And I think Allen Robinson's going to go up a lot of bit. Allen Robinson, dude, how many touchdowns was OBJ scoring? If you put him in that role for a full season, he's going to score a lot of touchdowns. He's going to get a lot of catches, a lot of yards.
A lot of coverage on Cooper too. People a lot.
Well, with Allen,
I'm pretty high. He could be a wide receiver too. I drafted him last year as one, and he did me dirty as hell.
Yeah, he didn't have anybody.
Everyone did you dirty.
He's got Matthew Stafford now, and he's in the system too. They run a 3 wide receiver set like all the time. So fantasy wise, reality wise, he's going to be legit this year for sure. The Rams offense is going to be
plug people in.
Yeah, he's a 50-50 monster too. So I mean, even in the red zone, I mean, he goes up against, and he's going to be seeing single coverage because you can't double the guy, right? So you know he's going to be seeing single coverage. He's going to get targets. You're right. I don't understand what was going on last year in Chicago, why he had such a down year. I think he only had one touchdown all year, right? So I don't understand what was going on with Justin Fields and Andy Dalton. I mean, he was playing better with Dalton in the lineup than he was with Fields, but that could just be experience for Fields, or there could be something more there. He will produce more in LA because they throw the ball more. And, you know, I do like him better. I'm not going to throw him in the wide receiver 2 range. I'll probably be more comfortable in the 3 range or as my flex, but that's just the way I draft receivers. I mean, he's probably going to be a 6th, 7th, 8th round pick in any fantasy draft this year. So I'd be comfortable with that. And if you're picking your second receiver in 6, 7, 8, then you better have Devontae Adams or Cooper Kupp as your first receiver, you know? So that's just the way I think. But I mean, you talked about the defense for the Rams. I mean, they lost Von Miller. He went to the Buffalo, you know, 6 years, $120 million. So obviously somebody still values that guy, you know, but the Rams, I still think, are going to be one of the top teams in the NFC, especially with the Packers fading. What other team really scares you in that conference? So maybe the Bucks, yeah. But I mean, other than that, there's not really going to be much competition. So they're retooling, they're reloading, and we'll see
I
what
got
happens.
them at the second best team in the conference right now.
Yeah, we'll
Losing
see.
Von Hurt, but that offense is right there.
We'll see. I mean, I have them as the best team in that conference only because they're Super Bowl champions. They earned it, and they're retooling.
Tristan Wirfs, Chris Godwin play that game. A little different.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know, man. You could sit
Tommy
here
does.
and say,
That's why
I
he's
don't
back.
want to hear any Anthony Davis shit. Oh, coulda, shoulda, woulda. You lost the game, and the Rams beat you twice that year. So right now they're the number one team in the NFC, and I just want I want to see them. They're definitely. I mean, San Francisco is a team that could probably beat them because they have their number a little bit, except
6
for
in
that
a
one
row
game.
until that last one.
Yeah, so that's a team that could probably make some noise, especially when they're in the same conference. Seattle's obviously not there no more. Arizona, I think, had a good 6 or 7 game run, but they're really not going to beat up on the Rams this year. So really, who else in that division or that conference is going to make a run other than maybe Tampa and San Francisco? I don't see anybody really. I mean, I'm a Vikings fan, but I'm a realist too. Like, I don't really think we're there yet either. So there's not many teams out there.
They're just getting started though. Off season is just getting started. We've seen a lot of moves that they ain't done yet. They might fix that defense up some more. Other teams might add some more.
Yeah,
We're gonna see a lot more. Right, they're just getting started now. So we'll see, man. It's gonna get real spicy. It's just gonna change a lot here over the next few weeks.
I could just see one of those 3 teams: Tampa, LA, and San Francisco. One of those 3 teams will. Right now, if you're going to ask me, one of those 3 teams will represent the NFC. And if I was going to bet on it right now, it'd probably be LA again. But
the other playoff teams, they got a little weaker right now at this point. Cowboys, Packers.
Yeah,
I can't put no offense, Josh. I got to see some Trey first before I'm willing to put them in that conversation. But yeah, I think right now it's a 2-horse race, and you already know where I'm going. So.
Yeah, but San Francisco also backed up that they got a corner, Tre'Davious Ward. So I mean, they went out, and he's a pretty solid corner out there.
It's going to depend on
defense is going to be good. Fred Warner is one of the no one talks about him. So that division is going to be tough for LA. I do think LA is still all together the best 53-man roster in that division, and they're going to have a little bit easier of a route to the Super Bowl, but. San Fran, I know Josh is going to sit here and agree with me. It's going to depend on what happens with Garoppolo down there too. So, but I still think the Rams are, they're Super Bowl champs. You have to give them their credit. And the NFC has gotten weaker this offseason. I mean, across the board in every division, it's gotten weaker. So we'll see what happens. And I really like putting my money where my mouth is, but I do think the Rams are the 53, and an ad like Allen Robinson actually makes them tougher. So you guys agree with that or disagree with that?
They definitely got better. No one's going to say it didn't get better.
Their offense got better.
Yeah.
Josh, you've been quiet.
Well, I mean, man, I was sitting there thinking about Vaughn for a minute, and then I was trying to follow along with everything we were covering. And, I don't know how much the Rams are really going to miss Von Miller on defense. I mean, he was what it was. He was a rent-a-piece. And after seeing his contract, who the hell? Maybe I don't know Von Miller's worth. Maybe that's all it is, but I didn't know he was going to get paid that much money. And honestly, he comes down to health for me, for Buffalo to really capitalize on that investment. To go off what you're saying about who remains supreme, you'd have to go Rams. They got stronger. Then you'd have to go Tampa Bay, and then you'd have to go Green Bay, and then the rest after that just kind of, you're gonna fight to get to the wild card spot, to the 6-7 seed and 5-6-7 wherever. And but top 3 to me, it's just goes like that. It's LA, it's Tampa Bay, and then it goes Green Bay.
Even without Devontae Adams, wow, that's
Yeah, I just
Rodgers.
Make some moves has happened. That's why, which makes sense. Like they're going to make a move.
yeah,
talk to me in August, and we'll probably go about this again. But right now, they don't have a number one receiver.
Well, I feel like Aaron, when he was doing that thing we talked about, when he was just finding himself for a little bit, maybe he came to the realization that maybe having Devontae and relying on Devontae was actually hindering his overall performance, because all he had to do was go to Allen Lazard and they win that game. He relied on Devontae a lot, and it'll be cool. Like, I'm actually very curious on Green Bay's plan to see it come in, because they're not stupid. They're not dumb. They had to make the move. They did it. And I want to see Aaron do it without Devontae. It feels like he's had him his whole career. I know he's played way longer, but it just feels like that connection is so legendary. It's gonna be kind of cool to see him separated.
Almost
Right.
like
They're still my third team. They're my third team in the conference as well. They're good. They got plan B for sure. Aaron Rodgers, he wouldn't be there otherwise. So they're still my third team, but I still got Tampa and LA at the top all day.
And last thing before we go, we touch on Von Miller real quick. What was more surprising for you guys, the 6 years or the 120 million?
Absolutely both.
Yeah,
Years.
The length,
Not
the length.
Both, dude.
6 years, 38.
They don't win the Super Bowl without Von Miller. You act like, oh, he didn't really mean, like he came up huge in Tampa in a close ass game. He came up big in the Super Bowl. In Denver, he was the Super Bowl MVP.
The only time it was a question mark was the regular season.
Like this dude in the playoffs. In the playoffs, his game goes up, dude.
I think he had 2 sacks in that Super Bowl too. So I mean, he definitely showed up.
Shit.
He disappeared in the regular season. That's what people.
Bills, right? If you're a Bills fan, what do you need? The playoffs, the regular season, whatever for the Bills, they have one goal in mind to win a Super Bowl. Von Miller is going to help them do that.
Yeah. I actually really like.
And if that's the
after
case,
the move.
Yeah, and if that's the case, money ain't a problem. It's the years though, because in year 5 and 6, that's what's going to really kick their asses.
If he gets there. If he gets there.
Oh yeah.
I think they probably made it that long because they know he's not going to get there. I could see 2 or 3 more.
Very good point, Michael. Very good point.
They made that long and that backloaded because they know he's not going to get there. So, the Rams definitely got stronger. Buffalo got stronger. I mean, there's teams that got stronger, teams that got weaker. Rams are definitely one of those teams that got stronger. So, if you guys
are coming for you, Rams.
If you guys are Rams fans, you guys are looking to repeat this year. So, this is going to wrap up, our take on the Rams. We got some more free agency news coming, and keep in touch. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, and stay tuned.